Peace and blessings, y'all. This is your boy Gerald. It is the 23rd of February, 2016. How is each and every one of you doing? So, you started your week, and I hope wherever you are, you're well. I hope that your weekend was a platform of inner peace, reflection, and preparation. Because you're worth it, y'all. I hope you know it by now. Because, see, your life is priceless. There'll never be another you. Though we all have commonalities of what we see or what makes up our reality, but that's just one viewpoint. That is yours. So that makes that priceless, y'all. And it is very, very important that you love yourself. But today I'm putting this video out. At first, just like you, I'm starting my day. And, when God says, hey, look, I need you to convey this, I obey. Because we are nothing but mere vessels. We are spiritual beings first, and we are here to fulfill the promise, the purpose. This is what makes up your legacy, y'all. Plain and simple. That's why you deserve to be grounded. That's why it's so important that you have the courage to love yourself unconditionally, because that will be the barometer of what is shown and received back to you, because that is found within yourself. That is why at the least amount of illustration that shows you how much God loves you. That's right. See, as we grow older, we should always evolve intellectually. And as we expand our minds, ever so clearly, it is very important to be able to not only analyze, comprehend, but interpret what is being presented, because everything is not what it seems. That's why it is very important that you are still. That is why it's very important that you are able to discern what is being presented. But because, I don't have to tell you, you've already known this by now. There are those in the midst of you that may have been granted access knowingly or unwillingly to people that do not have good intentions. I know I'm talking to someone. So as the time progresses and the days pass and the becomes weeks turn into months, and then time marches on, you're starting to take a different approach now, aren't you? Because you're starting to see that there are things that you may have thought were concrete, but actually these were nothing but illusions. These were nothing but ruses. These were only things set out in place to distract you from yourself. I know I'm talking to someone. See, what I'm getting at, y'all, is this. To make this short and sweet, what's in stake is the person you are destined to be. That person, that blessed person. And I could say this from a literal sense. See, your legacy was already written the moment that you took your first breath. It was already written. But it is our responsibility as spiritual beings to navigate through it. So, do you actually think that the devil's going to give you a pass? I think not. Because we're talking about the master deceiver and how, as the parable goes, the greatest trick the devil ever pulled off was to convince man he did not exist. So, I'm asking each and every one of you, right now, things not so clear now, are they? And you're starting to second guess yourself. Just know clarity is coming. There's no surprise. You are seeing the things that are being revealed to you right now in your life. It is meant to occur. You know why it's playing out like that? To see if you have done the work to receive the truth for what it is. And I'm saying this with compassion, y'all, because I know some of y'all, and let me throw this out there to each and every one of you. Gerald got much love for you. Every day, I pray in your behalf that all delays, all distractions, all blocks that are not meant from your life to be revealed, to be removed, so you can progress not only spiritually, but with the best health required. Now, I didn't say that that work didn't come with a price. Oh, yes. See, that's that small print, y'all. You know how they show the commercials on TV about the new and approved, but they never tell you what you need to know. They just tell you what you want to hear. The same thing applies to your soul, y'all. That blessed spirit. See, think about it. And I've echoed this before in the past. If we lived in a world where every interaction, the person came from a position of truth, the world as we live it would be nothing that you would understand or know, because you would be able to act, respond, and communicate correctly. But see, that also comes from a position of truth now, don't it? Yeah, it do. And for some, that terrifies you. I know I'm talking to somebody. You are terrified because you know what is required. To some, you may be saying, I don't know how I got here, but this is not what I signed up for. To others, it's, I see, I understand, and I come forward. See, right now, y'all, you're going to see a lot of people take different approaches on trying to understand our society. You know, we have the astrology community, we have the New Age community, we have the religious community, and we have the spiritual community. And being a human being on this planet, you must make a willful choice where you fit in. So what do we do as human beings? We use our senses first instead of using our intellect second, but really we should use our discernment first and then allow things to reveal themselves. But see, that takes a position of courage now, don't it? It's no surprise now more than ever, y'all, we live in a society where money is king. Humanity takes a back seat. Oh, God forbid you talk about something that's positive. You must be one of those Jesus freaks. Well, let me say this as passionate, as sincere as I possibly can. I serve one God. He is the Alpha and the Omega. He is the captain of my life. And you know what? I can truly say this. I wasn't living my life until I put him first. I know I'm talking to someone. You walking around in a daze because your mind says one thing, but your heart says another, and you are torn. You're trying to make sense of what is being presented to you, but your spirit got you feeling a certain way now, don't it? You're looking forward, but your emotions have you looking back. You know why that's occurring, y'all? It's occurring to let you know from a spiritual standpoint, you have works still not done. I know I'm talking to someone, and it's got you feeling a certain kind of way. And the more and more that you have the courage to go within inside you, you're starting to tap into that inner peace, that place inside you that's pure. And one brick is laid to the next brick, to the next brick. And now you are starting to have a placement that makes you feel emotionally safe. So inside your mind, you're trying to figure it out. You realize that faking it to make it all leads to a road that is causing you to stop. Sure, they go to certain lengths and they open certain doors, but you're also understanding that there's a price. There's a price that's involved that covertly you didn't see in the beginning because the distraction was needed to get you to go forward. But see, guess what? That's what them demons do. See, they got to do their jobs too. See, they got to answer to the devil. So if it means I've got to mislead you to appease him, they're going to do it, even if it's at the price of your health, your heart, or your state of mind. I know I'm talking to someone. So this video right here is for somebody that really needs to hear this. When the storms come, when the walls seem like they are closing in around you, when the confusion, the volume starts to turn up, I say to you, turn inward. That's right. Go within yourself, because you know what's inside you is that spirit. And you know who also is there? It's God. See, it should be no surprise now that all the disappointments, all the upheavals, all the embarrassments, and all the shortcomings that have been spawned into what you've seen thus far, these are all impulsive motivations to get you away from yourself. I know I'm talking to someone. You're saying to yourself, Gerald, I wasn't engaging in these behaviors last year. 5 years ago, I would have never even entertained a conversation with someone that position was something of importance to them. They wouldn't even heard me breathe. But somehow I've lost footing, and now I'm rubbing elbows with those same people that were there all along to hold me back. I know I'm talking to someone. It's not by chance you're seeing what you're seeing. And I say this with all compassion. I know it's got you shook because you're starting to see what the agenda was. These people never had your best intentions, and these people will continue to hold that platform because, see, at the end of the day, they saw you one way, and that was a means to an end. That's right. Yes, they saw you as being expendable, but this is not a rag out session. This is a protection session, because what you don't realize is, because God loves you so much, because you are his child, you were granted the ability to see it. I know I'm talking to someone. So with that being said, you still got a choice. So you're not at your end all be all, y'all. You're not. You're not supposed to be the person that's looking at their life 30 years later saying, man, I messed up. I messed up big time. And yeah, from the outside, I got it going on. But when I go home, as I take those last 5 steps to my door, and I pull out that key to turn that lock, I know that's when the misery begins. I know I'm talking to someone. You should never feel like home is not home. There should always be a connection from the inside matching the exterior. Because you got to understand something, y'all. Everything, what I say, everything created with man's hands. I don't care whatever it is. Think about it. Anything a man has made, man, it's made with an expiration date. That's why things don't last. Why? Because they want to strive, they want to mock, they want to disrespect the works of God. Let me tell you something. Your arms are not long enough to box with God. And that is why I look at it in two ways. I really believe sometimes God is. I believe first of all, and I say this with all sincerity, God does have a sense of humor. I say that because the foolishness, the disrespect, the downright things that we have done, if he did not, you wouldn't exist. He said, I really had hopes in Johnny. I really did, and yeah, but Johnny then woke up and took it upon himself and killed all those people. Wow. Remember, he's right. Look, when you took your first breath, your legacy was written. But you never hear people say, you know what? Yeah, I went and got that gun and I went and killed those people I didn't know. And I take full responsibility for it. No, you don't never hear people say that. Why? Because the person that you're seeing ain't the person inside. The real person is trapped inside that torment, and you'll never hear the truth. So I believe that what's going on now, we are literally seeing that season where there are major upheavals going on, and you're starting to see people that may be directly or indirectly associated with your life. They're going through some crap now, ain't they? And you may have said in silence, like, you know what? Well, all you did was kick dust the whole time. But still, there's that compassion, like, damn, man, they, wow, look at them now. Mm. And you feel sorry for them. But then the logic kicks in. You're like, well, that person was always disrespectful. Person was always an opportunist. The person did not value themselves. They valued materialism, and they sold their soul to the devil, proverbially, because everybody likes throwing that term up. And then all of a sudden, that fall from grace occurs. Does it surprise you? It should. It should surprise you in two ways. Number one, that person had a connection to you. You know why that person had a connection to you? Was to teach you what not to do if you continued to not claim your life. I know I'm talking to someone. So what I'm asking each and every one of you, you may be going through some things. What does it take, or what do you have to go through before you humble yourself and have that conversation with God? It's not his responsibility to come rescue you. It's your responsibility to lean upon him. But see, we live in a world of arrogance. We live in a world of shallowness, even convinced the man next door, proverbially, I'm using, that if you're not like me, if you don't sound like me, or you do like me, you are less than me. Don't you realize those people are already lost? They're already lost and they don't even know it. That's the proverbial sense of Walking Dead. Because see, these people are not living their life. They're not. The things that are given, those tokens, sure, from the naked eye, it's appealing, but you never see what goes on behind doors. That's where the torment lives. That's where the devil has his hooks in that person's life. You may be saying to yourself, well, Gerald, I don't understand that because, see, every time I interact with Bob, he's very charismatic. He seems to be grounded and he is a go-getter. And all of a sudden now he's stricken. He's a shell of who he was. Why? Well, would like to believe that what you're seeing is the representation of what's found within that person. I know I'm talking to someone. Look at those people that you rubbed elbows with. They were some beautiful people, huh? Till they opened their mouth, till they showed you their actions. You couldn't even run fast enough. But see, that's how deception is, y'all. It's fed by spoonfuls at a time because, like I said, it takes courage for someone to say, hey, look, this is who I am. They're not going to do that. The puppet didn't get the strings attached in the beginning to play the part. They got to do things with a little manipulation behind it. How about a little fear? How about some downright covert control? I know I'm talking to someone. He's, every time you try to talk to this person because of something's going on, you're trying to get clarity. They never have time to have that conversation with you. Why is that? And every time you bring it up, they kind of feel a certain way. They will instantaneously pick a fight. Don't you realize when a person turns around and uses anger, assertiveness, control, disrespect, when there should be a position of compassion, that person is terrified. So that's what they got to use. That's why bullies exist. Oh, yeah. That's where gaslighting exists. For those who don't know what the term gaslighting, that ain't nothing but manipulation, bold-faced lies, but to convince you you're the crazy one. Scenario. Little boy goes into the cookie jar, takes a cookie out. Mom says, I don't want you to go in the cookie jar, buddy. You see him go in the cookie jar. You confront him, hey, didn't I tell you don't go in the cookie jar? And then they turn around and flip it. Have you scratching your head. Have you second guessing yourself. You know why they do this? They do this because they do not have the fortitude to deal with the repercussions of their choice. I know I'm talking to someone. I'm gonna speak on this and I'm gonna get off it real quick. You know, I happen to be on social media, y'all. Y'all do know that social media, for the most part, I'd say maybe 35% of it is fact, 65% of it is illusion. That's why it's very important, y'all, that no matter what form of communication that you receive, don't get caught up on the messenger. Get caught up on the message because they use that. People will use imagery to sway you. They will use packaging to get you to react. Sorry about that. That's why so many times, hold on. 5 moisturizers plus an extra strength itch fighter. Gold Bond. Relief starts now. See, the devil's a liar. That's why I wanted to change the thought of this. But nah, can't do it. That's why advertising is such a billion-dollar industry. Think about it. They already know that 50% of revenue generated is through impulse. So if you're not grounded, guess what? The probability of you spending some money is great. That's why they cater to women more than men. hmm They already know that if you're not stable, even P.T. Barnum, the founder of Ringling Brothers, said it best. A fool and his money will soon part. Why? Because they show you through imagery, the distraction. That's how they do. And all it does is trickle down into the masses. That's why you've actually heard people use the term sheep. But the question I ask to you is, who's your shepherd? Who's your shepherd? You may have even heard people say this. Who do you serve? But God said this best. You can't serve two masters. So with that being said, you can't be in two places at the same time. So you have to ground your feet. You have to. But let's turn that curve real quick because I don't lose my focal point. Because I know that some of you right now, you are very emotionally sensitive. Yes, you are. You do a good job fooling those that are in your circle. Well, 50% of the people that are in your circle, unfortunately, I hate to tell you, don't give a damn about you anyway because they see you, what did I say? A means to an end. Yes, they do. That's why every time you're frustrated, you say, you know what? I just want to have this conversation with you because this has bothered me because I've had this on my heart. Really, you've had this on your spirit, but yet they can't give you that in return. What's wrong with that? They're your friends, right? Shouldn't your friendship be unconditionally bonded through love and compassion? They supposed to always have your best interest, even if you can't see it. I know I'm talking to someone. But let me tell you something, y'all. Don't get caught up in your environment. Don't let it rob your emotional state of being. Yes, it may seem like they're winning right now. It may seem like they're untouchable. But guess what? We know not the time nor the day of judgment. And all things done in the dark come to the light now, don't they? And guess what? God gets tired. So some of y'all may be thinking, well, Gerald, it was good yesterday. I don't understand why am I going through all this hardship going on. I thought I dotted my I's and I crossed my T's. Why am I going through all this? You know why? Because what's being challenged is your ability to cognitively think, but more importantly, to set the stage on how you're going to act. We're talking about free will, y'all. Because, see, nobody can make you do nothing you won't do. So, with that being said, don't you think now, more importantly, it's time for you to unlearn and release yourself from them fears? How about them shackles, which I mean that your shame? See, because you got to understand something, y'all. You can't undo the things you've done, but you can learn from them. You can learn from them. That's your wisdom. You can reflect from what has occurred. That's your insight. But none of this will come to pass if you will not invest in you. That's why I echo this. Do you know who you are? Because if you did, you would know your purpose. If you did, you wouldn't be crying so much inside you. Some of y'all walk around so broken and bitter. You are a shell of who you are destined to be. Why? Because your pride, that ego, has misled you from yourself. I'm just letting y'all know something, y'all. The devil's a liar, and you can turn everything around except for death. But if you're not speaking your truth, you're dying slow anyway because you're not defining your life. You're not living the example. The example is you. There'll never be another you. But as long as you keep listening to them, they're going to have you walking, have you talking, have you dressing, have you acting. But here's the ironic part of that. Shouldn't these people love you for who you are? So why you got to change? I know I'm talking to someone. You all frustrated because he didn't told you, well, you know what? If you just did this and that, and you added a little bit of this, I would be complete. Don't you realize that person is backhandedly disrespecting you because they're saying to you, you're not good enough. You're not good enough. So how can you call them friend? How? They've even convinced you to downright degrade yourself. She got you doing things that are unspeakable. You have a hard time looking yourself in the mirror. You'll never get enough showers to wash off that burden. You'll never get it. That's why you will never find peace on the bottom of that glass. You'll never get high enough. You'll never find a euphoric release through orgasmic exchange. You will never find it. You know why? Because that ain't you. You know it. You know it. But you keep running, track star. Aren't you tired? Aren't you tired? Because that person inside you been telling you. The volume has been on 10 lately now, hasn't it? And it doesn't surprise you that you've had those restless nights. You say, well, you know what? I'll just jump on the internet and look at some boo-boo TV to distract me or get annoyed. I'll ignore myself to a point that I'll just doze off, only to wake up to repeat the cycle like Groundhog Day. You know why? Because you keep trying to ignore the fact that you got work still not done. I don't want you to take my message as a means to disrespect, mislead, or be covert to tear you down. I want you to build yourself up. I want you to be able to have the courage to admit to yourself you made some bad choices. But your life is not over with. Not by a long shot. You want the pain to go away? Look at the solution. You know how you look at the solution? You got to look at the problem. I know I'm talking to someone. Haven't you figured out by now the reasons your relationships fail? Because it's a direct correlation of your upbringing imprinted into your psyche. That's why now that you're an adult, you want truth, but they won't give it to you. I hate to tell this to y'all, but guess what? Some of us were born into families because we were the blessing, but the parent or the guardian that was assigned to mold our development had no empathy to give. That's why when you interact with your family members, it seems like they hate your guts. They don't have time of day. They put labels on you. Why? Because that is also something that they're struggling with. They don't call it a generational curse for nothing, y'all. You know why it's called a curse? Because nobody wants to look at the breakthrough and do the work. I know I'm talking to someone. My king, need not worry. I know you want your family. You got this image in your mind, and you keep saying to yourself, I'm not going to end up like them. My legacy is not to be behind bars. I'm going to cultivate my dreams, even if I don't get the support from the people that look just like me. I know I'm talking to someone. So what's required, y'all, is you got to be your biggest cheerleader. You got to be your biggest support. It starts with you, but guess what? You can't do it by yourself. No, you can't. And if you think that your marriage is going to give you that happy ever after, I hate to disappoint you. If God is not in it, it will not come to pass. I know I'm talking to someone. You hang with them because they give off this energy of exciting, and you just, they have a zest for life, and you're like, wow, I wish I had the courage to be like them, but you never hear them talk about God. They have a will about them that is something straight out of a comic book. And it seems that they live their life through no accountability, but no regard for themselves. And that's intriguing you because you wish you could tap into that, but all you get is pain. I know I'm talking to someone. See, that's how them demons do, y'all. That's how them demons do. That's why I stress this to each and everybody, each and every one of you. First of all, do not think for 1 second I do not appreciate nor stand behind my message. Let me tell you something. Nothing is written. Everything that comes from me comes way of the Holy Spirit. I am just a mouthpiece. That's right. But I know for the intended heart, the intended soul, you at battle with yourself. You have convinced yourself that your life was a mistake. So you have adapted this mindset of what's the point? What's the point? Or how we like to embrace in society, you only live once. Don't you realize there's no different than playing Russian roulette with a loaded gun? The question is, why would you even put that weapon in your mouth? Doesn't matter where the round is. So what I'm asking you guys to do is take a position of compassion. Mhm. And when you start to do that, guess what? That inner peace will come. It'll flow all over you endlessly. Your emotions will start to flip flop, and a lot of things that were suppressed or hidden from you will manifest itself for you. Why? Because, see, first of all, God is not going to give you nothing you can't withstand. So you are actually more stronger than you think. That's right, Queen. Nobody's making you lay in that bed next to that stranger. Doesn't matter if you have a marriage certificate. I know I'm talking to someone. The connection, the commonality is you have two people that don't love each other. But the common goal or theme is financial betterment. I told you, we live in a society where people willfully trade their happiness for stability, but don't have the courage to acknowledge its presence. Why is that? Why do something that you can't be proud of? There's a difference between being proud and pride. Pride is about ego. Proud is about love. I know I'm talking to someone. So it's time for you to start looking at the wounds. Yeah, yeah, those ones that that you convince yourself, well, you know what, if I reinvent myself, or I go to a new area, or I attract new friends, or if I talk a certain way, I'll get a new lease on life. How's that working out? Because no one will ever see the world nor feel what you feel. Sure, we'll all have commonalities. There'll be things that we'll agree upon, and then there are things that we'll be educated by. But see, that's what God does. But that's what the devil despises. I know I'm talking to someone. You tired of them nightmares now? You tired of them wounds? You tired of those panic attacks? I know I'm talking to someone. These are direct correlations of the environment that you have built. Remember, you can't turn around and point the one finger and ignore the four looking back. You had a role in that. You had a role. Now, maybe let's just say there were information that you were not aware of, and you were just following suit. But now you're being made aware. So guess what? You still have a choice. There's that free will again. So you're going to stay in your misery, or you're going to claim your life back. I know I'm talking to somebody. Because every day you choose not to claim your life back, that's another day stolen. That's why stolen moments always come with a price. That's why they hurt so much. That's why when you move with agenda that's not blessed, you pay tenfold. You knew that man was married, but you took it upon yourself to put your nose in that man's business. Did it surprise you, the pain that came from it? Nothing happens just by chance, y'all. Nothing. Because we're talking about the devil, y'all. He was the number one angel. Do you hear me? I'm not saying the 20th. He was the number one. He was the go-to guy when God sent out his directives. But it was his pride, his ego that got him cast out. But he didn't fall alone. He didn't fall alone. He had his flunkies too. And they rode with him. And for some that don't know this, why do you think we have the reality that we have now? You think with all the brilliant minds, we're able to do feats that the human mind can't comprehend, but we're able to do stuff like that. Come on now. Come on now. Come on now. See, what you're witnessing, y'all, is we are in a spiritual battle. The spiritual battle been going on before human beings were on this planet. Remember, we were spiritual beings first. We just so happened to manifest in physical form because God wanted us to fulfill his promise. But guess what? You didn't have a choice in that. I know I'm talking to somebody. You have no choice in that. That's why it's always echo. Thy will shall be done. He didn't ask if he needed your consent. So why you think the disappointments will come? Huh? Oh, here you go. You're seeing the manifestation of behaviors of people that are aligned to you. And it got you shook because you see yourself in them. It may play out in your children if you have, or if you're parents. It may be those in your job sector, but you have a connection. Remember, birds of a feather, that's right, flock together. So, when are you going to have the courage to admit to yourself that you're not number two? You're number one, referring to your life. It's your life. When you're going to take that shield of victimhood and put it down. Well, I would do this, but because of such and such, I can't. Don't you know that the word can't is a block? It conjures up enablement. That's why you hear people say words have power, because they do. I've tried to explain it the best I can. Before there's an action, it must be a behavior. Before it's a behavior, it's a pattern. Before it's a pattern, it's a thought. Before it's a thought, it's a word. So let that action be something that acknowledges who you are, not what holds you back. I hear this all the time. And like I said, I'm not shooting blanks because I've been on my walk since October 18th, 2011. That's when the old me died and I was made new spiritually. That was the moment I fell in love with Gerald. Oh yeah, I love me some me. And I've got a big heart. And what I did not realize, that I was aligning myself with people that willfully knew this for their benefit. I know I'm talking to someone. You can't get the time of day out of this person, but you give them that backside now, don't you? Mm-hmm. And you keep every time you say, I'm not going to do that no more, but you still get the same outcome. Don't you realize what they're showing you? They're convincing you to embrace the same mindset that they have because they have willfully given up on themselves. So who's the predator? Who's the prey? And you know what? Let me throw this out here while I got y'all. I warned you guys almost a year ago. I said, listen, society wants you, my queens, to play the role of the harlot, the prostitute. And you're going to start to see that in everything that makes your reality. You're going to see it. And they're going to try to mask it. And then I told you, I said, be leery of that 50 Shades of Grey. Be leery of it. Because they're putting that book out. They put those books out, and then they made the movie to influence your behavior patterns. And what happened? Shaniqua ran out there, and now Shaniqua was getting her ass busted. Excuse my French. Darnell is getting strung up and willfully getting beat on like a slave. But you're right. That's exactly what you're doing. Because what's being attacked is not the flesh. What's being attacked is your spirit. Because they know if I can get that mind, and the mind is connected to the spirit, I can get you to do anything I want you to do. So what's going on now? The second part is coming out this year. And if you don't believe me, Google it. And guess what the title is going to be? 50 Shades Darker. Okay. So you went pretty left field on that. So you're going to go up a notch. So do you realize now more than ever, our babies, our children are indulging in the masochistic lifestyle? You're like, oh no, not Johnny. No, Johnny is out there smacking on Sarah's backside. Johnny is indulging in things that you ain't doing, that you would say, oh, that's taboo. You know why? Because they see it from 2 points. Number one, the younger you are, the less protected you are. And number two, you're more impressionable. So guess what? From a financial standpoint, I've got future customer loyalty. You don't believe me? You can go to any mall USA, right? And you'll have a novelty store. I'll say Spencer's. I think it was Spencer's. Yeah, you go to Spencer's. As soon as you walk in, you got your little gag gifts, got your little T-shirts and stuff, little prank stuff, because they got that coming in the door. Because some of us that are in our 40s, remember you could only get gag gifts and stuff found in the advertisement, found in the comic books. Let's see the correlation. Comic books, children, innocence, influence. Because I'm going to give you a story. So they got it systematically placed there. But you go past that cash register and it goes dark real quick. Now, this is a gag store, but yet you got the adult theme shop in the back of the store. You got glass dildos and anal beads and whips and you know that's why they've got those black lights going on. Mind you, that is all connections to ritual work. It's not by chance. It's to influence the young, the impressionable. If you don't believe me, go into the store and see it for yourself. Because, see, they know. Little Amber, she's getting ready to hit her rebellious stage. But they want little Amber to go ahead and get her a little vibrator. They even got them designed to a point they look like little cute little uh fictional characters and stuff, and they, you know, but it is what it is. So if you know the attraction is there for them, you know Johnny Pedophile, Sarah, Miss Independent, they're there too. I know I'm talking to someone. So you got a choice. You're going to live your life keeping those wounds freshly open, or you're going to take the road less traveled, which is to you. Stop sitting up here um, saying, well, you know, I do this because those men did this to me. I'll be sympathetic to a degree. I'll say 50% of the men that have had access to you had an agenda. The other 50% was mutual attraction. So you both thought the same. I was having a conversation with somebody at work, and I said, you know what? I don't care. You can have all the things in the world, and it will not make a woman open her legs. I know I'm talking to someone. But see, we live in a society that what is wrong is honored, and what is blessed is mocked. But yet people don't believe the devil exists. What's wrong with that? So it's no surprise you feel a little broken now. It's no surprise you may have a little bit of anger because you're starting to see that these people did not have your best interest. These people have actually been so callous, they were really a stone's throw from altering your life forever. Some may have even was so bold and brazen and said, you know what, if you don't give me what I asked for, I'm going to take your life. Don't you know the devil's a liar? But just, guess what? Even though those seeds were planted out of despair, misguidance, and false belief, God still loves you. Because guess what? You still breathing, ain't you? You hearing what I'm saying? So guess what? You got work to do. And really, when you think about it, you owe it not only to your lineage, for those that may be parents, but you owe it to yourself first. Is it a surprise that maybe some of y'all are having problems with your kids? They acting brand new because there's a spiritual influence in your house. That's why I share this with each and every one of y'all. Go on out there and get you some white sage and spiritually cleanse your house, your apartment, where you lay your head. Now, here's a trade-off on that. First of all, white sage is blessed. So is myrrh. So is frankincense. You notice that I said those same things? Those were the same things that were given and offering for the nativity. They were blessed. You bring that sage in where you lay your head. You know what's going to happen? It's going to bring up and drive out demonic influence. I know I'm talking to someone. You say to yourself every day, with a smirk, I've got a black heart. Don't you realize you might as well say, I need to go ahead and pick out my destruction? Why don't you go ahead and pull that dress out and go and pick your coffin out, or if you're going to get cremated, because the road that you on right now is only going to end in death. That's a willful choice. But God still loves you. But guess what? We have free will. You're not going to have peace of mind unless you put God in front of you. You're not. I keep trying to tell you that. But for some reason, y'all don't. Y'all think that I'm just sitting over here throwing stuff. Let me tell you something. You could be the most handsomest guy in the world. You could be the most stunning woman in the world. You could be the most financially savvy person in the world and be broken. I ain't gonna lie. I don't have, all you're gonna get from me is speaking truth. Because Joe got love for you. And with that being said, that's why paranoia is just right around the corner. If you're spending more time looking over your shoulder, trying to remember what you said, trying to plan on your connections with the people you're with, you're not at peace. All you're doing is living in denial and you're running from yourself. And then you're trying to connect like, well, the sex, our intimacy is missing something. Yeah, because God ain't in it. All you're doing is redoing the womb. That's why that bond that you have with her, that relationship you think you have with him. Well, let me tell you something. He got a starting five. I know that somebody needs to hear this. You keep trying to figure it out in your head. Well, why is he acting this way? Because he don't give a damn about you. And as long as you keep rubbing elbows with him, he will gladly pay the token or the fee to introduce that pain and burden into your life. I know I'm talking to someone. He done told you, shut your mouth. I'm going to do my thing. And as long as you let me do my thing, I'll let you have what you need. What you want, actually, sorry. Because what you need is truth. I know I'm talking to someone. That's why I keep telling y'all. You can have that blessed life when you ground your feet. It is not your responsibility to search your mate out. It's not. God didn't ask for you to do the work. He asked you to prepare. And maybe that's why the other side of your bed is empty. Why? Because the person that's going to fill it is going to make you feel whole. But see, you complete yourself. Let's not get that twisted. Because when Renee Zellweger dropped that line in Jerry Maguire, you complete me. No, you don't. Two broken people can't make a whole relationship. I know I'm talking to someone. Every time y'all get in an argument, what do? You run out there and buy her what she wants. But little do you know, every time you do it, she loses more and more respect for you. You know why? Because you don't respect yourself. You don't respect yourself. And you're suffering in silence. I know I'm talking to someone. And I can speak that because I believe there are some men that's had to learn that. I was one of them. I've always, I don't speak this out of boast, but every relationship that I've had, I didn't break up with them. They walked on. But the coincidental, what the commonality was? Gerald loved them. Because I love the human being, not the illustration. Oh yeah, I've made my mistakes too. I've even experienced what betrayal feels like. I know that's what some of y'all going through right now. You turn around and like, Gerald, I just want love. I'm at the point I'm so at my wit's end. The first person that says something to sound right, that I got him. This ain't 12 years a slave. And we are talking about your roots. But only you can take that shackle off your heart. I know I'm talking to someone. It's our responsibility as adults to learn from what was passed on so that we can prepare the young. That's where that each one teach one comes from. But if you don't take your life serious, can you expect your lineage to respect yours? No, they're not going to do that. That's where that old parable of do as I say, not what I do, has misleaded everybody. Or here you go. Well, I'm on time out. The Bible said the best, spare the rod, spoil the child. So what I want each and every one of y'all to take from this, you got to have the courage to look at them wounds. Go back to your childhood if you need to. And every person that has willfully made a point to try to break your spirit, try to manipulate your steps, I need you to forgive them. I need you to forgive them because that's going to free you. And then I need you to forgive yourself because you had a role in it. Now, let me throw this out there because I know somebody said, well, Gerald, I didn't have no role in there when he molested me or she molested me. I didn't have a role in there when I got raped. I didn't have no role in that. Well, let me explain something to you. The worst thing, which I think is kind of ironic because it still applies to this day, the worst thing that you can do as a human being is have a transgression towards a child, because we all know if you go to jail with the transgression against a child, your life is over with. We already know that. We already know that. You don't go to jail for harming a child. So with that being said, it's no surprise that you're seeing people's lives play out the way they are, because you do reap what you sow. And I see that now more than ever, people are being made believers because they think, well, that occurred 25 years ago, Gerald. Ain't nobody talking about that no more. But now all of a sudden, bam, those spiritual seeds were planted. They were planted because there was free will involved. So there was a willing choice for the decision that you made. There's no timetable when the harvest comes, but you're going to know exactly how it was sown. I know I'm talking to someone. And that's what made me take notice of something else, too. And I'm going to get off this subject and I'm going to share this with you guys and I'm going to roll. I noticed a commonality that you see, like, especially in the church. You see all these women wearing these big old hats. Some of them even have the audacity to wear sunglasses. Ain't nothing funny. What's funny is that you be riding down the street, right? And a person's in tinted windows and they still got sunglasses on. Don't you find that kind of ironic? You got tinted windows, but you got sunglasses. So that tells me right there, you don't want to be noticed. But I also know something a little deeper. What you're covering is your eyesight, which goes back to the parable. The window, the eyes are the window of the soul. So therefore, that's why you're running into conflict when you are with that person of significance and you are coming from a place of truth and they won't reciprocate it back. You know why? Because there's still something in you that is being overlooked. That's where that's where the assertiveness comes out of it. That's where the angst come out of. That's where the anguish comes out of it. That's where the fear is fostered. And then you got to look at it for what it is. If the person won't speak truth, why are they walking with you? If they're not walking with a position of humility, why do they know your name? People, that's why one night stands don't breed love because it's not blessed. And you are. So you've got to make a willful choice. You want to live in your sorrow, live in your pain, you want to continue running away from yourself. Because see, every time that you do that, you disrespect yourself. So it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what your marriage is because it's not rightfully yours anyway. So you're choosing to deal. You're choosing to honor someone who happens to be look like you, but is not you. Why? Because your heart ain't in there. Your spirit's not in there. That's just a shell. We know that as an alter ego as well. But see, that devil's a liar. He gonna convince you to not see your worth. And let me tell you something. Your life is priceless, y'all. No matter what you're going through, you can turn it around. You can turn it around. But you must be honest with yourself. You got to have that conversation with God. You got to see, if you can't be honest with him, you damn sure ain't going to be honest with yourself. So is it any surprise that you're going through what you're going through? And I'm not making light of it because I know some of y'all are really going through hell. You're struggling with it. You said, if I could only get back yesterday, if I could only get it back, Gerald, the things I would do, if I could just hear their voice, if I could just be in the room like a fly on the wall, just to see them, it would make my day. I know I'm talking to someone, but the reality is you chose to not serve yourself. You told God, I don't need you. So God said, okay, really? I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I love you though, but I'm going to sit on over at the cut. I'm going to sit over here. And when you can come correct to me with your heart, I'll bring you out of that. No, I'm not talking about put one toe in the water and one foot on the sand. Nope. I need all of you. I need you. When you're ready to give me that, I'm going to give you your life. I know I'm talking to someone. But guess what, y'all? I can't stress this any more than I have. Because I know some of y'all are at that stage where you're saying, well, Gerald, I got it. I got it, and I'm doing the work. And I'm anxious because I know that these works will be the true harvest, not them weeds over there that I thought was my harvest. And that woman or that man, God will give me, and they will have in their possession the keys. I know I'm talking to someone. They're going to have the keys to the other side of your life. But work is required. So if you don't see your value, you're going to end up inheriting the fate like everybody else you know. Little Shay Shay got all those babies and got no support. But she convinced herself, well, as long as I got these children, I still indirectly have a connection to him. So he can't go and live his life because I'm connected to him. He's been doing that for how long? So when that midnight hour comes, y'all, and that sex drive is through the roof, don't be surprised when your phone rings. Don't be surprised when you get this. Because on the other side is that demon. And some of y'all already know this, but you're afraid to speak it. You know why they come there. It's to fulfill that agreement that you got. Don't you realize the devil is meant to hold you back and destroy your life? God is the truth, the light, and the way. That's why Christ said, way to the Father is through me. You deserve to be happy, y'all. I can't stress it. But it will not begin until you're willing to be honest and love yourself. God is praying for you. You know I am. I see your worth. And for that, it helps me discern mine. Don't get tripped. Don't get caught up on the materialism that they throwing at you. Right, I want you to be caught up like a hook to a fish's gill. Love yourself, Merle. Do the work yourself, because when you do the work yourself, you're fortifying and defining the honor that makes you you. Nobody can do your work but you. So stop running away. Love to hear from you. Have a blessed week. And as always, place God first in everything you do. Bye.